week before my 6th birthday in 1980, I watched these famous images roll live on TV. And I and the rest of the world first became fully aware of something called the SAS. For 6 days, the Iranian Embassy Siege had been ongoing, covered live on the TV news. But on the 6th day, I watched as men dressed head to foot in black, wearing respirators and armed with submachine guns, stormed the embassy in Prince's Gate in London and successfully freed most of the hostages. The effect of this was electric on my young mind, and I'm sure for many other young boys of my generation. For weeks afterwards, my friends and I, with toy machine guns and wearing old World War II gas masks, faithfully recreated the SAS assault on the Iranian embassy. It was the coolest thing we'd ever seen. Who would know that 45 years later I would get to hold an MP5 machine gun that belonged to one of the SAS soldiers that stormed the embassy. If my 6-year-old self could see me now, I think he probably would have wet himself with sheer excitement. That I was able to get my hands on this amazing SAS relic is due entirely to the fantastic Combined Military Services Museum at Malden, in my home county of Essex, which has one of the largest collections of SAS artifacts and weapons on show anywhere in the world. See the description box for a link to their website. So for my non-British audience, what was the Iranian Embassy Siege? In 1979, the Shah of Iran was overthrown in the Islamic Revolution, and one particular part of Iran, called Khuzestan, demanded autonomy. An Arab-majority area, they sought to control the oil-rich area, naming it Arabistan. The Iranian government had other ideas, however, and both the Shah's secret police and the new Islamic government tried to suppress these Arabs. A group calling themselves the Democratic Revolutionary Front for the Liberation of Arabistan, partly trained and funded by Saddam Hussein in Iraq, traveled to London on Iraqi passports. Using weapons smuggled to London via the Iraqi diplomatic bag, the 6 men stormed the Iranian embassy at Prince's Gate in South Kensington on the 30th of April 1980, taking hostage the British policeman on duty outside the building, 3 BBC employees who were at the embassy sorting out visas for Iran, and the embassy's staff, in total 26 people. The Metropolitan Police quickly surrounded the building, and hostage negotiations began. Over the following days, the police were able to arrange the release of 5 hostages, but on the 6th day of the siege, the frustrated terrorists who demanded the release of political prisoners in Khuzestan and their own safe passage out of Britain shot and killed a hostage, dumping his body at the embassy's front door. At this point, the SAS was ordered by Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher to enact Operation Nimrod to storm the embassy and free the hostages. A very risky proposition that they had been planning for several days. In total, some 60 SAS men were involved, with almost 30 actually storming the premises, or providing cover nearby. This is not a video about Operation Nimrod. There are tons of those on the internet, and I'm sure many of you have seen them before. However, this is more an examination of an artifact, in this case the MP5. This MP5A3 belonged to Rusty Furmin, Blue Team leader and famous as the man with no gloves in photographs of the event. As you can see, it has been fitted with an enormous and very heavy torch. When you handle this weapon, the maglite makes it quite heavy and slightly unbalanced. But if you look at photographs and film of the event, you will notice that several of the SAS men are carrying MP5s with large torches attached. Why? This arrangement seems very clunky and primitive to our modern eyes. Why didn't the SAS use red dot sights? And why even use MP5s? The British nuclear police were the first to use the MP5 in the UK, this weapon being developed from the famous Heckler & Koch G3 rifle. British police armed units are generally trained towards first shot accuracy, and because the MP5 is a close bolt weapon, it is more stable and accurate. unlike an open bolt weapon, when on the first shot the bolt leaps forward under spring pressure, stripping a round from the magazine, and fires as the bolt closes, causing the center of gravity to violently shift position before the first round is fired, changing the point of aim as a result. This makes the open bolt weapon less accurate for single shots, as the British police tend to be trained to fire. Therefore, the MP5 was very suitable for the police, and the SAS adopted it for the same reasons, after experimenting with the Ingram Mac, which they found to be too inaccurate. In the case of the SAS, the MP5 was to be used in close-quarter battle CQB situations, such as hostage rescue, and red dot sights were huge in the late 1970s and impractical. During the storming of the embassy, the SAS soldiers were wearing fireproof hoods and service respirators, and would be engaging targets at very close range in dimly lit smoke-filled hallways and rooms, and aiming through sights wasn't an option. And as with many things in Britain, budgetary considerations came into play. Torches were cheaper than red dot sights. It made perfect sense to fit some of the MP5s with maglights, which could be focused to a single point of light a few meters in front of the weapon's muzzle, providing the perfect aiming point for a man wearing a respirator inside a dark and smoky room. Wherever the beam of the torch went, that is where the rounds went. Intuitive shooting from the hip in a fast-moving and very stressful operation. Operation Nimrod did not go perfectly to plan. SAS teams broke into the embassy by abseiling down from the roof, or forcing their way through windows and glass doors using sledgehammers or frame charges. Communications broke down for some time as one SAS trooper found himself stuck on his rope and on fire, his communications stuck in the broadcast position, blocking everyone else's communications over the radio net. Nevertheless, the training and professionalism of the SAS kicked in, and the assault teams stormed the building.
The first SAS men jumped back onto the balcony and stormed through the window. More marksmen take up position. Hostage PC Trevor Locke appears at a window, waving his police hat as identification. Police shout at him, "Take cover," and he draws back inside. Next, BBC man Sim Harris is brought out by a hooded SAS man. He crouches on the balcony. A white flag is waved from a window on the second floor above. Smoke rises from below in the aftermath of the explosion.
This kit, much of it worn by Rusty Furman during the assault, is an extraordinary collection from this seminal moment in British history. 5 terrorists were killed, including one by Furman himself on the embassy's staircase. The guy was holding a grenade at the time, but fortunately for the SAS and the hostages, the pin was still in. 1 terrorist was captured alive. The entire operation took just 17 minutes. The Iranian embassy is exactly the same today as it was in 1980 from the outside. I happened to be visiting the Polish Sikorski Museum in London a couple of years ago when I suddenly realized that I was just 2 doors down from the Iranian embassy at Prince's Gate. When I approached the embassy, guarded by 2 armed British police officers, they very kindly stepped aside so I could film and photograph the exterior, including of course the famous balcony where all the action took place in 1980. As for me, one of my Christmas presents in 1980 was of course the SAS Action Man. Many thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share, and also visit my audiobook channel, War Stories with Mark Felton. You can also help to support both of my channels at PayPal and Patreon. Details in the description box below.